All right, we are live post Sunday Night Football. Atlanta Falcons, Minnesota Vikings. The Atlanta Falcons go into Minnesota. They win 22-6. They hold the Vikings to 0 second half points. And we're gonna go through each drive. We're gonna go through really what happened. And obviously you can tell by the score of a game like that the one team got shut down, and I do want to credit Jeff Ulbrich. I want to credit who's the Falcons defensive coordinator. I really want to credit them for the game that they played, because the Atlanta Falcons, they came to play tonight. As I mean, you guys do know that I am a Vikings fan, and I kept waiting for the moment for this team to really come back in, and it never happened. And like I said, I do want to credit the Atlanta Falcons. McCarthy did not play well tonight. Obviously, let's just go ahead and address the elephant in the room here. There's no, no, he didn't play good, man. He didn't play good. The offensive line didn't play good. Both things can be true. It's not just a JJ exclusive thing. It's not just an offensive line exclusive thing. JJ was late on several reads. He threw a couple of interceptions, and the only thing that I would actually kind of justify, I guess, would be that final interception to Xavier Watts, because it looked like JJ thought he had a free play, but that doesn't really the game was out. The game was out of hand by then. So that's not, if they convert this. No, the game is done. The Falcons absolutely killed the Vikings tonight. And like I said, credit to them. And I do want to give a huge shout out to Bijan Robinson as well, because Bijan came to play. And I thought it was Bijan. I'm glad that they did clear that up tonight, because I called him Bijan in the Falcons debut, but now it's Bijan. So I'm glad that we do have that. Bijan 143 yards tonight. Tyler Algier came in and really did a good job too. And one thing that I want to talk about with the Falcons is whenever they can play like this, I don't think the Falcons are going to go to the Super Bowl. They were never, a Super Bowl pick for me. But when I say that the Falcons can be a legitimate thorn in the side, this is what I'm talking about. I mean, they come in, they go into US Bank Stadium, they rush for 218 yards. I really thought Kyle Pitts was going to be more of a problem tonight than what he was. But whenever you can rush for 220 yards as a team, it's gonna do a lot of damage there. But Pitts had 3 catches for 34 yards. Seemed like pretty early in the game. I remember seeing that specific stat show on the screen, and he finished with 4 for 37. But the Vikings, it just seemed like they were fighting an uphill battle tonight. So again, credit the Falcons for coming in and doing the old walk in your trap, take over your trap. They really did that. The US Bank crowd, I thought, did a tremendous job, because within the first drive alone, they forced a timeout plus a delay of game penalty. So for the Falcons to be able to overcome everything, and this wasn't a little squeak out 22-19 win, get by the skin of your teeth type thing. I mean they absolutely dominated this game. And you can see right here the Vikings had 4 fumbles on the night. I do think one JJ McCarthy was one play when they were down in the red zone, and it was JJ picked up the fumble mid-play. So I don't know if that technically is a fumble. I think that it would be, but no. I mean the Falcons pass rush, 1.5 sacks for Zach Harrison, 1.5 sacks for Brandon Dorless. I thought James Pierce had a sack as well. It's somewhere in there, half a sack. Jalen Walker had a sack. Good for the Falcons, man, because this was undoubtedly one of the things that they needed to do this offseason was get a better pass rush, and they did exactly that. So again, credit the Falcons. Now, I will say for the Vikings specifically, pertaining to the run defense, Bijan came in, had a great first drive, and it seemed like there for a while the Vikings were doing okay on run defense. Like they were holding their ground, if you will, and then eventually the dam broke. And I do want to go through a couple drives here, because like I said, some of it was very, very frustrating. And if you take a look here at the second half, where the Vikings punt, fumble, punt, interception, and credit to the Falcons, because they have to make the plays. But it just seemed like it was too little too late. And even within 3 of the Vikings' 6 points tonight, which was 50%, half of their total points, It was a deep ball to Justin Jefferson right before half, and there was a weird play right before that where I was screaming like at the TV, like, just take the just go to half, go down 9-3 at half. It was a sack. JJ got sacked, and then there was a 50-yard play to Justin Jefferson, and then Will Reichert hit a 51-yard field goal right at half to make it 9-6. But it just seemed like nothing could get going. And I mean, if you look at the Vikings possessions, turnover on downs. By the way, I do want to address the first turnover on downs. I didn't have a problem with the Vikings going for it early in the game. 4th and 1, ball on the 36-yard line. I had a problem with the process in terms of the way that they went about it. If you guys were here for the week or for the stream against the Bears, I was very much like, get the ball in Jordan Mason's hands. That's going to be the biggest thing. Get the football in Jordan Mason's hands. He is a difference maker, and especially behind the offensive line. Now, we'll talk more about the offensive line in a minute. Justin Skule is not a starting caliber offensive tackle. That much was shown tonight. And I didn't really like the rush from 3rd down to 4th down. Let's rush up there and then run a tush push with J.J. McCarthy, who is not built like Jalen Hurts lower body-wise. And I didn't like the process of that. So I thought there was a lot of just mental miscues in terms of all of that. And then on top of it, the Falcons, like I said, the Falcons did a phenomenal job. Billy Bowman had a really good interception tonight. But I felt for the Vikings, JJ looked uncomfortable. There were times where he was forcing things. He's in his second career start. He's 22 years old. If you are coming here, I would just kind of get this out of the way. If you're coming here expecting me to have a meltdown, the season's over, we're done, we don't stand the chance, start Carson Wentz, not the channel for you. Not the channel for you, not the takeaway, especially with this game. What I will also say is from a human being standpoint, you have a game on Monday night, you're already on a short week. JJ McCarthy had a kid this week, and then you're also on a short week playing the Falcons. Credit to Jeff Ulbrich and the defense. So, like I said, enough credit can't be given to the Falcons and Bijan Robinson within this game. I thought the Vikings definitely had some opportunities though, which I do think is frustrating to be in 2 full games now and to have one good quarter. That is undoubtedly frustrating. So let's go ahead and pull up I do want to pull up the team stats here. That is definitely frustrating. That is one thing that is definitely worth noting. You look at the total yards tonight for the Vikings, 198 yards. There was a point in the game, to give you an idea, those 198 yards, technically, they obviously have to happen, but they weren't a true 198 yards, if that makes sense, at least, whenever you contextualize it. There was a point in the game where there was a graphic that flashed. It was total yards. Bijan Robinson, 168 to the Vikings, 164, or 164 to 161. The point is late in the game, Bijan Robinson had more yards than the Vikings himself. So, J.J. McCarthy, 11 of 21, 2 interceptions. Tough week 2 for the week 1 offensive player of the week. But Aaron Jones also left the game with the hamstring injury. But now I do also want to note that injuries happen for every team, obviously. And that is, there's going to be a level where, Joe Burrow right now could miss 3 months. That's, you can't sit here and say that the Bengals are going to, go to the Super Bowl if they don't have Joe Burrow, right? That came out tonight that he might miss 3 months. That's per Rappaport and Adam Schefter. So injuries, they're an excuse, if that makes sense, but there's also like, hey, if you lose your quarterback, you're done. You know what I mean? So where I'm going with this is the Vikings tonight had out Christian Darrisaw, franchise left tackle, Andrew Van Ginkel, second team All-Pro player last year. Harrison Smith he's still a player that was out. Jordan Addison was out. Ryan Kelly left the game at one point. A lot of guys were out. Blake Cashman also out. So it happens. But again, credit to the Falcons for coming in and absolutely, as far as I'm concerned, dominating that game, because I kept waiting for a point for the Vikings to, for the Falcons to misstep and for the Vikings to take over. And I thought it was going to happen at 12-6. I thought there was going to be a chance that the Vikings would go 13-12. It never happened. And I will say with with Kevin O'Connell as the Vikings head coach, it seems that there's always a moment in a game where the team capitalizes, the team steps up, but didn't happen tonight. Credit to the Falcons. I do want to go over a couple super chats here. I greatly appreciate everybody being in here. Vontae Neal says, yes, sir, rise up. Congrats on the win. Doe Soldier says, 11 for 21, 2 interceptions, and a fumble. McCarthy is the next Ponder. Okay. Let's see here. You should start Carson Wentz or trade for Kirk. No. We are 2 starts into J.J. McCarthy's career. I could not disagree more with that, because JJ's got to get the reps. He has to play, and we're 2 starts into his career. And again, this was coming off of a short week, and he had a child within this week. So also had his backup, or had his franchise left tackle out for a tackle that's not starting caliber, and his number 2 receivers out in Jordan Addison because of a suspension. So I strongly disagree with that, though I do appreciate the super chat. But JJ tonight himself also wasn't good enough. Typically, whenever a player or a part of a team doesn't have a great game, there's always a part that wants to make it specifically on one said part of the team, whether it's on JJ, whether it's on the offensive line, or whatever. But JJ didn't have a good game tonight, period. There's no, no, he didn't have a good game. It happens. He had, I would realistically say, I think there was one good throw along the sideline, but he overthrew Jalen Naylor near the end. That should have been a touchdown. He had the one good ball to Jefferson before half for a 50-yard gain. And whenever you do look at JJ's stats tonight, JJ finished with 158 yards. So he had 50 of his 158 yards on one play that was schemed up right before half. Wasn't good enough. And right now we're looking at a Minnesota Vikings team that's played 8 quarters, that's had one good quarter of offensive football. So there's definitely a lot that still has to go on. But no, I'm not all for starting Carson Wentz. I'm not for trading for Kirk Cousins. No. Way too early in the Vikings hype. JJ's played one good quarter. This is from Raptor Clap. Appreciate it. Minnesota put so much pressure on him to be better than Darnold. He will throw risk. Is there more? He will throw risk. I mean, he definitely presents risk. There's no doubt about that. He's 22 years old. And I still thought it was impressive for JJ to have the 4th quarter he did last week, especially given that it was his first competitive game since the national championship, excluding preseason within that. But I don't think you can definitively write off a team after 2 weeks. That's just me. Now, I mean, there's going to be people that are, I'll say this about JJ McCarthy, is people love to definitively talk about JJ McCarthy the same way they did about Jordan Love, and Jordan Love is playing really good football. I sat here all summer. I thought Jordan Love was a really good quarterback, and he's played really well. Now, not to say I'm always right. I'm definitely not always right, because I've been wrong about a lot of things. Shout out Daniel Jones. He's played great through the first 2 games. That's definitely one of many things I've been wrong on, and will continue to be wrong on. But JJ's 2 starts into his career. He's 22 years old. Anybody that is definitively speaking on JJ McCarthy, I would just say go ahead and ask them about Dak Prescott's legacy. Go ahead and ask them about just anything like that. Let's see here. Hope all you amazing analyst channels will take a look at my Falcons' young defensive line. Appreciate this, McFarland. Our DC was bad and we didn't let them play. Wait, what are we? Oh, okay. Young defensive line. No, the Falcons' defensive line, man. I like what they. The thing was I was critical of the trade they made for James Pierce Jr. Because they were giving up pick 46 plus a 2026 one. But right now, I mean, the Falcons' defensive line was great tonight. It was great, and I'm taking a look at their depth chart now. Yeah, I mean, look, Leonard Floyd is also, he's a good mentor in that room. James Pierce, good. Jalen Walker was, to me, a hyper-specific player that needed to be in a good situation for him to succeed. I think he's in that said situation. He looks really good in Atlanta. But even I also do want to credit the Falcons defense for stepping up tonight, because there was also a situation where AJ Terrell goes down. This team could give in. Hey, we're playing Justin Jefferson. I think there was a point in the game where Mike Hughes was their number 1 corner. Mike Hughes going up against Justin Jefferson. Good luck. We're going to throw in the towel. And that was still in the game, or that was still at a point in the game where the Vikings were only one score down. So again, credit to Atlanta for playing the way they did. K-Dot says, what's the chances of Tyreek or chances of KC trading back for Tyreek? I would say low. I feel like that would be a couple more weeks. I don't think it would be after this. I think that would be a pretty reactionary. If you're looking for it like today, sorry about that. If you're looking for it like today or tomorrow or Tuesday, no, because the Dolphins are also on a short week. The Dolphins go to Buffalo Thursday. KC plays the Giants next week. After today's performance from the Giants, there's a question to be had about the Giants and or if KC can keep up with the Giants offensively. But I would say right now low. But I do think that there's a strong chance that Kansas City starts out 1-3 because they play Baltimore in week 4. So we'll see about that. Johnny says Jags were a 4-win team. We were competitive today. I like what they have. I really do. Need to get Brian Thomas Jr. figured out. Those drops were not pretty, but we'll see. I do like what the Jags have. Shout out Basil Tootin as well. Peace Frog says Vikings defense tried its best, but when your quarterback throws 2 ints, a few almost ints, interceptions of course, and a fumble, really ruined your momentum. Appreciate the super chat. This Falcons offense couldn't finish until the 4th man. The Vikings blew it. Look, I don't want. So the thing is, I completely agree with your premise of your comment. So I don't want to discredit what the Falcons did defensively in the game. But there were definitely missed opportunities for the Vikings for sure. And it just seems like with the Kevin O'Connell team over the past few years, it just always seems like, hey, there's going to be something. And that's what it was in the debut against, or the week 1, the opener against Chicago, where there's going to be an opportunity, step up, make plays. It didn't happen tonight. So credit the Falcons for, again, shutting everything down. And I mean, they deserve it, man. They really do. They really do. They do deserve the credit for the way they played tonight. And, I would have never thought that the Falcons would have won into US Bank Stadium and won by 16 points. I mean, they go in there, they win by double digits. Now, I will say there's a couple things I do want to say about Michael Penix. I feel like he missed a couple of throws tonight, and this isn't just a Michael Penix thing. It's a young quarterback thing right now where there's just a lot of missed throws, more than you would think. And Penix did miss a couple tonight, but Penix got the win. So credit, Penix did what he had to do to win. But there were a couple just overthrows, and the overthrows from the young quarterbacks right now are really weird. JJ had a couple of overthrows as well, again, specifically the big one to Jalen Naylor. But Penix also took care of the football in terms of doing what he needed to do, and he let Bijan Robinson cook, and the Falcons' first drive, I was a little surprised they didn't continue to just pound the rock, and I thought they were going to continue to do that, but it was a frustrating performance for the Vikings tonight. I'll just kind of leave it at that. Let's see here. Should we take the Colts serious? It's a good question. I don't want to. Let's take a look at their schedule here. Let's take a look at their schedule. The Colts, I mean, they messed around today. Shane Steichen frustrated me with the way that game ended. They play at Tennessee next week. They can definitely win that. They play the Rams after that. It's going to be tough. They play the Raiders after that. It's going to be tough. But they can beat the Raiders. The Colts are a team that can start out 4-1. So, and then after that, they play the Cardinals. And then they play the Chargers. So, we could be talking about a 5-2 team, depending how things play out. But I do need to see more from Shane Steichen in terms of the aspect of not losing the games or not playing to lose. I did not like the process of Shane Steichen today to kind of settle for a 60-yard field goal attempt. Not every kicker is Brandon Aubrey, and that was not a that was a process that I could have been without. Here's a good comment. Appreciate the super chat. Thoughts on Drew Petzing? I've personally seen enough from him. I get it. Today was a game for the Cardinals that should have never have been anywhere close to what it was. They were absolutely killing the Panthers, and that's one of my gripes with the Cardinals at the moment is you're killing the Panthers. I sat down to make the weekly recap today. thinking, oh boy, here we go. I'm going to have to light up Bryce Young again. The Cardinals were up 20-3 at half. They go to make it 27-3. And the Panthers score 19 unanswered, and they were at a point in the game where they could have won. Now, I do have some criticism for Dave Canales as well, and it's to not call as many long developing passing plays in those specific situations, especially with as much time as there was on the clock for the Panthers to step up and have a chance to win. But for the Cardinals to close the game the way they did today, to get outscored 19-7 in the second half, should have never happened. It should have never happened. I'm with you on the Drew Petzing. I get it. I completely get where you're coming from. But if the Cardinals play the way they did today, or coach the way they did today, you're talking about an 8-win, 9-win max. I think they have an easier schedule this year. But, I mean, maybe 10 wins based on, again, the schedule that they play. But you're talking about a team that would almost guarantee to be first-round bounced because of the way they mess around, the way that they don't seriously go after the kill when they should. So, I get it. All right. No thanks. I've heard enough about the Finns. That is funny. All right. Hey, man, love the content. Let's see here. Starting to be really bullish about my Rams after the Witherspoon injury. Where do you see the team ceiling? So I'm a big Rams believer. I have been, and I will continue to be a big Rams believer. The thing is for me today with the Rams is I went into this game with a mentality of, do we really think that a Brian Callahan coach team is going to be able to beat a Sean McVay coach team? And that was my biggest thing with this. You know, a lot of the times I'll go into these games or these just weeks with looking at your coaching previews. And there's a lot of times, and if you watched, I mean, I'm assuming you watched the Rams-Titans game today, just how undisciplined the Titans were at times, and you don't see that from the Rams, and there's a reason for that. Sean McVay is one of the best in the business, and the only reason I would have been a little bearish on the Rams this summer was kind of the fact that we don't know about Stafford's back, we don't know about Stafford, and given his injury history, and those are valid concerns, especially with Stafford, especially at this point in his career, given that he was a rookie all the way back in 2009. But Stafford has played high-level football through 2 weeks. And the one throw he had today in the corner or down the right sideline to Devontae Adams, that was oh shoot, sorry about that. That was a chef's kiss. That was a chef's kiss, just drop in a bucket. So if you want to be very bullish about the Rams, I'm not gonna say you shouldn't be, because I think there's legitimate reason to be. And by the way, if you guys are enjoying, please drop a like. Helps the stream tremendously. Appreciate everyone being in here. And if you're not subscribed already, then please subscribe. We're trying to hit 215,000 by the end of September, so appreciate everyone being in here. All right, let's see here. Did you see Mike McDaniel's post-game interview? I'm going to be honest, I did not. Was there something I should have taken away from that? Tell me, give me the synopsis here. Because I'm doing the weekly recap, like games end, I'm doing the recap. So I don't see a lot of, unless there's a big viral clip, I don't see a lot of the post-game interviews. All right, Colts fan here. Thanks, Bears, for passing on Warren. Yeah, the Bears had a tough one today, man. The Bears had a real tough one today. I wanted to look this up because it was bad. It was really bad. So I just want to. Where was it here? Bears. I saw a tweet today that was. Let me see if I can find it. I'll just read it word for word if I can find it. It's talking about the Bears. It was basically like Bears' first round pick. It was talking about Luther Burden, Colston Loveland, Ozzie Trapillo, and I think Shamar Turner. And it was basically like 0 targets for Colston Loveland, Luther Burden 2 targets, Ozzie Trapillo healthy scratch, Shamar Turner healthy scratch, or something like that. So it was not ideal. But anyway, Tyler Warren is awesome. All right. McDaniels always sounds baked on the podium. Is that... I mean, he's in... Yeah, he was in Miami. I mean, it's not... I mean, is there anything else I should know from the interview? All right, Lions hit a 50 burger today. They did, and credit to Detroit. I thought the offense was way too talented to not 50 every week, obviously, but to just stay stuck in the mud. And we saw it today. They absolutely dominated the Bears, 52-21. I'm kind of at the point now with the Bears, as painful as this is to say, just 2 weeks into the year, very much just I got to see it to believe it. I got to see anything to believe. And I know I said this year that, hey, I'm buying in with the Bears again. This is bad, man. I mean, especially with the way that they lost today. I'm pretty sure everybody on the Lions offense except Laporta scored. So if you had an anytime touchdown, J-Mo, Amon-Ra, Gibbs, Montgomery, it hit. It was it was a tough game. Vikings defense did everything they could tonight to keep Minnesota in it. You're 100% right. I thought the defense played solid, all things considered. I mean, let me actually look up one more thing for the Vikings game real fast, because tonight was such a frustrating game for Minnesota because the opportunity was there. The offense just didn't capitalize. I do want to take a look at time of possession because Atlanta ran the ball like 39 times, and it just seemed like Minnesota could not get. Jesus, did Minnesota only run 40 plays? Time of possession, 36 minutes, 36:30 to 23:30. Where's plays? 46 plays for the Vikings offense, 63 for Atlanta. I would have guessed the play discrepancy was higher than that, personally. But let's see what else we have here. Bears won the offseason again every year on this channel. I mean, look, they do a lot of things right. They do. And the thing is like, Joe Thuney, Drew Dahlman, Jonah Jackson, Colson Loveland, Luther Burden. It's a hell of an offseason, man. Dayo Odengbo is definitely a bit of an overpay. I mean, you still have to pay for talent, but it was, look, they did a lot of things right. I will stand by the fact that the Bears did a lot of things right this offseason, which they did. The Pack is back on top. They 100% are. Who do we blame for this loss? Embarrassing play calling by KOC. Okay, so I always hate let's blame somebody for this loss. No, I mean, I would say you can blame the O-line. Christian Darrisaw not being out there is noticeable. You can blame J.J. McCarthy. I don't think you can blame the defense. The defense did everything they could. They were on the field for 63 plays for 36 minutes. They allowed 22 total points. John Parker Romo, tremendous job for the Falcons. The Falcons kicker, by the way. This loss is on McCarthy. He was buns. I don't think it was strictly on JJ when he was sacked as many times as he was, and when he was under pressure as much as he was. The tape tomorrow is going to be frustrating to watch. I'll just leave it at that. All right. How are we feeling about Seattle? I would say reasonably optimistic. One thing that needs to get fixed, and I genuinely do not know the answer to this, is I'm assuming if you're asking about Seattle that you probably watched both games and then probably watched like pretty in depth. Last week there was Zach Charbonnet had a solid game. Kenneth Walker had just a terrible game. It was something like 10 carries, 15 yards, whatever, right? This week it was the exact opposite. Kenneth Walker had a great game, and Charbonnet had a terrible game this week. So we have to figure out, Seattle has to figure out how to blend the two and actually have a legit 1-2 punch rather than a one punch 1 week and then the backup is just out there taking hits. For reference today, Kenneth Walker, 13 carries. I'll actually pull this up on the screen here. I do want to pull this up just so we can... Let's give this a good use. People will actually get a kick out of this just because they probably won't believe it till they actually see it. Kenneth Walker, 13 carries, 105 yards. Zach Charbonnet, 15 carries, 10 yards. 0.7 yards a carry. By the way, shout out Torrey Horton. Was really happy to see Torrey Horton get his first career touchdown. But this obviously can't stay. We can't have Zach Charbonnet or Kenneth Walker, whoever's having the bad week, you're not going to win games like that, at least consistently. So that definitely has to get fixed. Can my Colts win the South? Let's think about this for a minute, right? Colts win the day 29-28. I don't worry about the Titans at all winning the South, especially with the coaching staff. They're way, way, way too undisciplined. They just do a lot of things to lose games, to take themselves out of it. The Texans the Texans worry me because of the offensive line. And that leaves us with the Jags. Right now, the Jags are kind of struggling. I mean, Brian Thomas Jr., I think Brian Thomas Jr. will be fine, but right now the Jags are, they gave up 31 points today. Jake Browning kind of lit them up a little bit. Now, he did have a couple of interceptions, too. Short answer, I think that the Colts can win the AFC South. They can. To say through 2 weeks the Colts definitively cannot win the AFC South would be a disservice to what Daniel Jones and Shane Steichen have accomplished through 2 games, especially with the 2-0 start. Credit to the Colts. But if the Colts continue to play the way they have, and Daniel Jones continues to play the way he has, yes, they can. Now, what I would say is, I'm not going to, and if there are any Colts fans watching this that want me to admit that, hey, you were wrong about the Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones situation, left hand up. Through 2 weeks could not be more raw. I actually also acknowledge that within the weekly recap. But I'm not going to even entertain a conversation about Daniel Jones being the future beyond this season until probably early November at the earliest. I'm not even going to think about entertaining that conversation. But right now, Daniel Jones playing really good football, so credit where it's due. Give Shane Steichen a halfway decent quarterback that can make basic passes, and he's going to cook. And Daniel Jones has done exactly that. And they're 2-0. And they've put up 62 points in 2 games. They put up 33 against the Dolphins. They put up 29 today against the Broncos. So happy for Colts fans, by the way. All right. By the way, if you guys could like the stream, we're at 94 likes. Would very, very much appreciate it getting over 100. Appreciate everyone being in here. And like I said, if you could like the video, subscribe if you're not already. Would very, very much appreciate it. Let's see. Is anyone worried the Colts front office will go all in on Daniel Jones if the Colts win the South? I mean, I wouldn't see why they wouldn't at that point. At least on a 1-year deal. It would make a lot of sense at that point. Appreciate it, Manzo. Who would have guessed the Colts were a Daniel Jones away from being a playoff contender? Jeez, we got the like. Appreciate everybody who just hammered that like button. Appreciate it. So a playoff contender through 2 games. I mean, I guess you could say they are, yes, but they have played well. But they have played well through 2 games, and I'm happy for them. As a Gators and Finns fan, please keep AR as far from South Florida as possible. I've watched him too much for my liking. That's a sad. I do feel bad for Michaela for saying that one. That's a tough one there. Feeling bad for AR. Really wish he could still work out since he's so young. He is only 23. There is still a reality where AR has a Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, that type of career trajectory. There still is. I'm just saying. And by the way, AR is still... People are still going to want to take a chance on him because the tools that he has are so rare. And, you can sit here and say, well, the work ethic and all that, but I mean, if AR definitively commits and says, hey, like I this is my now or never, I'm going to do everything I can to, I'm going to work, I'm going to do everything, and a coach sees it, they're going to take a chance. But AR is not going to be out of the league anytime soon. So there's still a chance for him to have a rebound at some point. All right. Full belief mode. The people are sleeping on the Falcons right now. The Falcons played their tails off tonight. Like I said, credit to them. And when they play the way they did tonight, this was why I was kind of in on the Falcons entering the year. Reasonably. Not like Super Bowl, but reasonably. They can be a legit thorn in a team's side. They ran for over 200 yards tonight. The pass rush was there. Again, credit to the pass rush. They're not a bad team. They're not a pushover team the way people want to make them out to be. All right. I saw a comment here about JJ, and I feel like he's my guy. So I feel like he is my quarterback. So I feel like I should address it. McCarthy's not good. Never proven he's capable of being a good quarterback. His Michigan team was stacked. 27-1 as a starter. Although I'm not going to lie, I do. There were times at JJ at Michigan where there were certainly throws that he needed to make, and that still transitioned to the NFL. But we'll see. He's only 22 years old, and I mean, I can spin myself any way of this, but JJ's only 22 years old. He's in a good situation. His work ethic is tremendous. Anybody right now that is saying they know JJ's going to be a bust, or they know this, or they know that, I would take it with a grain of salt, and I'll just leave it at that. The criticism of JJ is superficial. People react so game to game that, I mean, you have to a degree react game to game, right? You can't sit here and say, hey, Caleb Williams right now is great. JJ McCarthy right now is great. You can't sit here and say that. So you do have to react to a degree game to game. But the people that are right now saying, I know for a fact Carson Wentz is going to start by the end of the year. No, you don't. No, nobody does. Literally nobody does. All right, let's see here. Our O-line tonight was abysmal. Yeah, but you're not allowed to look at that because it's all on JJ McCarthy. So you're not allowed to look at that part. It's just JJ has to block better. Every young quarterback that struggles has to block better. They have to get open too. You're not allowed to say these things. I'm definitely a JJ believer. It's his second game, exactly. But I don't think you're allowed to say that though. You're not allowed to have reasonable takes with any young quarterback. But he was definitely holding the ball too long. I do agree with that. I 100% agree with that. I do. That is one thing that is very fair. Very fair. And that should be acknowledged. But that will wrap up tonight's stream. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Please like the video or like the stream. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And appreciate everyone who donated to Super Chat as well. And hopefully you guys are loving the content so far. I know I am enjoying making the videos. And we will have another video out Tuesday at 11 a.m. or noon. And I will see you then. So until next time, please be safe and have a great day.